All right, in this video we are sharing Jeff Sturgis' farm. He gave us the grand tour. He shows us throughout the whole property how he's setting it up, what he's done already, and you get to hear all of it from him directly. It was so much fun to go and check it out. We hope you guys enjoy it too. Let's go.
We're here on the Minnesota farm, and I'm going to take the guys around and show them quite a few of the habitat features and hunting features. I look at it like, you know, when it comes to whitetail, the habitat and hunting go hand in hand on a private parcel anyways, as far as strategy goes. You know, it's whitetail habitat solutions, but hunting is a huge part of it, and you have to develop the habitat as if you're going to hunt the habitat, and incorporating those high quality hunting strategies into the plan is just as critical as the habitat improvements themselves, probably even more critical, because ultimately the lowest hole in the bucket is how a land is hunted, not necessarily what's planted on it and how the habitat's improved. This will be the general theme for the tour, so we'll just start right here off the bat in this spot. But this was a food plot last year, and that's what the previous owners had. And I planned as a food plot so we could switchgrass, or we could frost seed switchgrass into it. And what's important about that is we can now get past this and onto the next food plot, deeper onto the land, maybe set up for hunting there. But bottom line is we can't afford to spook deer anywhere on the land. So we have this entire plot planted in switchgrass. Now, what that allows us to do is get into a corner stand through the food plot, looking down at a bench for cruising. And we can do so just by walking through the switchgrass off the road, blow our scent out into the field. Great morning stand, especially for post-daybreak stand entrance, where we see no deer out here. And we get in and out without spooking deer, get into the stand. And if we have this food plot here, then every time we ride by here, drive by here, we're spooking deer. And it just sets a negative tone on the entire property. So in the frost seed switchgrass, it's pretty easy. You get it down to where soil's exposed. You're just throwing the switchgrass out in February, March. We use a chemical application process we talk about on the YouTube channel and even on my site for various articles. But very easy and cost effective to get it established. And if you manage your switchgrass, it lasts for decades, but really critical. And this, again, you know, all access out here on private land. There's so many private land parcels, quality parcels with good habitat features are destroyed because a lot of those habitat features are inviting deer to your access, to your feet, and then it allows the deer to pattern you more than you pattern them. And when it comes to small parcels, you just can't afford to do that. And small parcels meaning that it doesn't matter if it's 20 acres or 500 acres. If you're spooking deer off your land every time you enter, it's not large enough to encompass your mistakes like a 2,000 acre parcel or a 1,000 acre parcel. So a lot different when you get up to those parcel sizes. You can bump deer around and still have a great herd. You can't do that on small parcels. So we'll continue on the tour where you'll see this general theme of access and not spooking deer. It's so critical. This is another one of those food plots from last year that we actually didn't hunt, but again, it's blocking out some good deer movement. It keeps the deer in that kind of risk mode when they come into here. It's wide open to the field. So this is all switchgrass now. It's just a little plot, but it allows us to get in an incredible stand location right down here where the deer are pinched around the top of a draw. So I have a camera in there. I need to change the batteries. I put half dead batteries in to begin with because I didn't have any new ones. Got new ones now. And then I want to cover up the mic holes to keep the ants out of it. Always something to do. So every time, I love going out for rides in the property, but you know, you always want to maintain your cameras, mock scrapes, whatever it might be, even an occasional spraying if I have a little left over in the tank, but there's always something to do. So I try to accomplish something when I'm out in the woods. And this was a new trail cam set up, and one of the easiest tricks I found to keeping ants out of the trail cameras is to just cover up the mic holes here. And what's pretty interesting, people say, well, I don't want to cover up, I like the sound. You can still get the sound. I can't even see that it really bothers the sound that much. But we're going to change these batteries too and leave this one. It's been getting some good movement here, and we're going to put a water hole here. We access through the switchgrass, And then there's a steep draw and ditch coming up here where all the deer are pinched in this area. So we can't wait to hunt this. I call it Venti's stand because I know Venti, the big 21 point we had last year that should be a monster this year. I'll tell you folks, he is awesome. He is a beautiful buck, and boy, we really want to run into him this fall, like close with a bow and an arrow in bow shot, and we'll see. So this is a good spot where this tripod stand seems like it's out in the open, but we're not hunting out here. We're actually hunting through the red cedar down into a small hunting plot that travels left and right. So the deer are encouraged to travel left and right, and then we notch holes out to shoot them. So on the other side, it's a non-factor. And then we actually have coming in here about 6 feet of switchgrass on the inside of the food plot, so to further protect us from getting into that stand without being detected. So we have switch just in this layer right here. We'll actually shrink it back to about 2 feet. So if it all happened to be a little bit thin, I'll pick the thickest spot, but it's coming in really well. We'll have about 3 feet of switchgrass eventually, and then this food plot, you see how long it is. We were just at a stand back there where we'll have a water hole at. So we have a water hole about 80 yards in, then the food plot, and then we have another long food plot like this about 100 yards away. So it keeps the deer going side to side. We passed a big food plot back here, so that reinforces the movement. That's where they all want to go to. You can see the blind right up here. It's really difficult to see through the conifer and through the cedar. We'll notch out a couple holes. The deer will never even know we're sitting there. And then we have an Exodus trail camera right over here. This has actually been running since last summer on a solar panel. So it's shining across here. Every big buck we had on the property goes through here during the daylight. So we had to make sure we had a stand here, but we have to remain undetected or we're not going to see those bucks coming through here during the daylight. So we're setting this all up together right here. And we have this times 4 or 5 on the property where we have smaller plots flanked by big plots. We take every precaution to make sure we can get in and out of stands, whether we're getting out in the evening, get out in the morning, vice versa. No matter what time we get in there, we want to make sure that we're not spooking deer. So that's where the layer of switchgrass comes from, the thick cover, and that's why our stand isn't back here right out in the open. It's on the other side of that brush so that we can climb up into that tripod and not spook any of the deer out here. Because once we spook them one time, this plot's dead for a while. There's a diminishing return, and we're better off hunting somewhere else. Yep, I thought that happened. Look at, want to get some ants. The reason I thought that was happening is because it's been continually taking pictures.
The ants? Yeah.
That's what I was just going to do is put.
See 'em on the tree.
I've had a couple cameras destroyed.
Oh yeah.
Those are usually just, I mean, this one had a lot of ants in it, but some of those destroyed ones, it's like a nest. I mean, they're just, it's bad. Yeah, it literally is a nest. Yeah. See the switchgrass, that's the way it was. That's clean switchgrass. There was more dirty switchgrass here that had a lot of weeds in it. It's the same planting, same method, same time.
Really?
Yeah, just so you have to mow it. If you mow it, by the end of the summer, this will look the same as this. Now, kind of a consistent theme is we want to be able to get in and out of our blinds or stands without spooking deer. And last year we were able to hunt this redneck right back here, and redneck blind. And with the brush growing here, we actually have switchgrass on the end of a big food plot here. We were able to get in and out of that blind and shoot the deer all the way across that food plot. I actually shot a muzzleloader buck about 250 yards out in that plot. And we could literally, with 20 deer out there, get in and out of that blind. And, you know, it's okay that deer see this, but we're 50 yards off where the food begins, or 75 yards, and then the deer are mostly down in the middle. And so it was very safe getting in and out of here, but we wanted to improve on that. We have a power line right over here, and we planted a little over an acre of switch that's growing in this power line. And so that screens us off. So when we're walking in here, no matter what, deer that are in the woods, down in these bedding benches down below, can't see us. At the same time, we just added the switchgrass down on this end. So now we can get into this location. We're walking in behind switch here, behind switch there, and we have this little narrow lane that we've hollowed out right here. Now we thought it'd be a great opportunity to create an actual bow setup because we want to get the most value out of these redneck blinds. So we've added a few layers to this. This right here will just turn into a small clover strip, something we just keep mowed and keep it fresh with mowing, give it a little bit of life and attraction for deer that are coming through this area. In this little corner right here, it'll be shaded most of the time. We're adding a water hole. That water hole will be within 30 yards for a bow shot out of the redneck blind. We're also going to add a mock scrape in this location. So we want deer to pinpoint right here their activities, come into the water hole, mock scrape. We'll have a lift 2 camera on here, at least, maybe a render. We want to be able to make this safer getting it in and out. We're doing that. We want to make it more of an attraction, so we're not just purely hunting with a gun stand. We're actually able to hunt with a bow in this location. And finally, back in here in the woods, we actually had a stand location last year. So we didn't want to cut bedding area in here. We didn't want to add the switchgrass because the neighbors were only about 150 yards away. So we want to encourage deer to move this way. We wanted to take advantage of them moving in and out, moving in and out of the food plot down here. Now we bought the neighbors. So that was a good thing. We were very lucky and fortunate to be able to do that. So now we'll make a bedding area back here. That bedding area will be hidden by the switchgrass. We're getting the stands out of there. And now we'll be able to go around this 300 yards away, go down to an interior access road. You know, a great site, a great blind location is getting a lot better for this fall. But it fits with the overall theme of the property that if we're not hunting on food, we're hunting off to the side, we're hunting on an attraction of a water hole, some type of cruising bench system, definitely a mock scrape within bow shot, and then all these pieces fit together. Because the land is so curved, then we have lots of wind opportunity. We added switchgrass layers last year so that we have effective 7 to 8 foot screening this year to actually insulate our approach. We're adding more bedding areas this year. We'll actually prune our fruit trees next year. So we're working on the highest priority, highest bang for our buck first, and then the lower priorities, more long-term goals later. I hope you enjoy this little land tour on the property. I'm sure they're going to capture a lot of footage as we're still continuing to travel around the farm as the sun's setting. And I look forward to incorporating the new land, you can bet, this year, and we'll make high priority to actually be able to use this and get a lot of value in that first year. Again, this is something that takes a long time if you're working on these priorities and making sure that you can pattern the deer on your land more than they can pattern you. Now this is a portion of our new land. This is a hilltop where they used to farm. I would probably about 6-7 acres up here. They put in a CRP about 12-13 years ago. It's since run out, which is awesome because now we can turn this into a 3-acre food plot. And then on this end, we have a 40-foot wide switch of strip grass going all the way along this north end. So we can use it as a tunnel to access back and forth, get into a spot to hunt if we want to shoot this field with a shotgun or muzzleloader into the firearm season. But at the same time, this field, there's no woods up here to the north. So this is the last stop before they go out to the ag, is to hit this. It'll be screened in. It's already got gray dogwood all the way around it. And then we have a point behind us that extends out that we can actually come in a backdoor entrance in the morning waiting for the deer to come back to us away from this ag. So perfect setup for a couple great morning stands back in the woods. Afternoon, evening gun stands back here, and then this complements the whole property. It flows right into the rest of the land, but it keeps with the theme of access and hidden access, being able to get in and out of here without spoken deer. This is great cover over here, but when it didn't have those food plots, the hunters last year on this property were complaining because we had the food plots on the other land. It drew deer away from here, and that's what happens, folks, in private land. You might think you have a great thing going, but someone moves in half-mile away, quarter-mile away, puts a good food plot program in, leaves it alone, doesn't apply their hunting pressure, which doesn't happen very often. But when it does, then they're going to pull those deer away from you. And I can't wait because this adds a whole new complexity to our land. We have smaller hunting plots over on the other side. We have evening bow stands, morning bow stand opportunities, lots of hills with thermals. We're getting some cameras out here. We're starting to get a good idea of the bucks. It's, like I said, it complements what we're doing to a T. And pretty cool land. The previous owners had owned the land since 1855. They were the original owners of the land. The sun's setting over there, and we're at the far corner, northeast corner of our land. And we can't wait to get back and have some burgers now. But I hope you enjoyed this land tour. We have high expectations this year for the entire property, our second year in Minnesota. And if you follow us on YouTube or any of the social media channels, we can't wait to bring it to you this fall.